this is Nikolaos Floratos, the founder of Funding Expert Academy, as well as the creator of the Funding Expert transformation formula that transforms any individual into a funding expert. As you can see, it's a little bit windy. Well, we are not that much south now, but we are actually in Norway. I'm in Christianland, near Christianland, in a valley here. I came for a meeting as well as for some training, and I was just walking by and I've seen this place, and there are many nice places actually here in the southern part of Norway, but I decided to stop just on this one to give you my next training, where now I'm actually going to talk about what is the real and the actual success rate that we need to take into consideration when we are deciding whether a funding opportunity, a funding call is attractive for our own organization according to our resources, according to our capacity, according to our expertise and knowledge. So you remember in one of my previous trainings what I've talked about was within the 5 figures technique. I've discussed how we are going to select the most attractive call by asking out of these five fingers the middle finger question. No, don't have any suspicious thoughts. I mean, it's the middle finger. What we're going to discuss, what we had discussed by that time was who, with that who, and who is evaluating the program, who is evaluating the proposals, and who has already submitted successfully previously funded projects. I mean, there's a whole science behind it. I have discussed about that in one of my previous training. Now, in the context of the 5 figures technique, we have also the ring finger, where there we ask how much, how many. I mean, this is actually what we need in order to get some indicators, some success rate indicators. And I'm saying that now, as you can see, it's a little bit windy, but I'm sure you can hear me. We are in Norway, although it's summer. What we have here is a myth. And what is that myth? Whenever we're going to choose a specific funding opportunity, we check the success rate. And what is the success rate? The success rate is how many proposals have been submitted in the previous or in a similar call in the past, and how many proposals have been granted a grant, have been awarded a grant. So we have the number of proposals that have been awarded a grant as a nominator, and the number of proposals that have been submitted as a denominator. So we have this rate, we make this simple division, and immediately we get the success rate. However, why this is misleading? Because of course we should have as a nominator the number of grants, the number of projects that have been granted, but as denominator we need to get a different number. Normally in the success rate, and this is actually what the funding authorities and what the European Commission is using, the denominator is the number of proposals, the eligible number of proposals that have been submitted under the previous call. But this is why this is misleading. Because let's get, for example, in Horizon 2020. In Horizon 2020 we have a success rate of around 10, 8, 7%, even lower, even a little bit, even slightly a little bit larger. But let's take the one very competitive call, and something that many of you are familiar. Let's take the health call. The health call under Horizon 2020 has, with that definition that we've just given, a success rate of 7%. So the number of proposals that have been granted over the number of projects that have been submitted, and we get around a number of 7%. And this is the actual official rate that the European Commission gives also. However, what we need to take out, as I said, we need to take out from the denominator all the proposals that should have never been submitted. I have to repeat it, then I will explain what I mean. We should take out from denominator all the proposals that should have never been submitted. And what I mean with that is actually, whenever we see a call under Horizon 20, under Erasmus Plus or whatever, we check the success rate and see, okay, is it attractive? Is it 20%? Is it 19%? Let's go for it. However, what we don't take into consideration is all these organizations that have submitted a proposal, and they should have never submitted a proposal. And how do we know that? Because they never passed the threshold. So all the proposals that have never passed the threshold, which is the minimum number of total marks that you should get in order to be considered for funding, then these proposals should have never been submitted, because they are failed proposals. They are proposals that they have failed in significant criteria. And normally they haven't been prepared that well, or they haven't followed this FED, funding expert transformation formula, that I keep on saying. So all these proposals that are below the threshold should be taken out. So now what we have as for us as a success rate is the number of proposals that have been granted over the number of proposals that have received a threshold, that have received a total mark above the threshold, which is much less. Because if we do that, for example, in the health call under Horizon 2020, instead of getting something like 7% success rate, we're going to get a success rate close to 30%, 29%, 27, 29%. And for us, this is a very useful indicator. Why? Because first of all, we need to take into consideration whether we need some support, we need some advice, whether we can or we should submit a call under a proposal under this call. So we need to get some external support, we need to get some feedback from experts, we need to get some feedback from the funding authority all the way along the path to have their confirmation, their support, that they convince themselves and then they convince us that we should go on with our proposal. If we don't do that, as I said in my previous call, then we will fail, first of all. And secondly, if we don't take very seriously this screening method, then our success rate is a little bit violated. So what I have to say here is, whenever you're going to choose a call for your proposal idea or for your project or related to your experience, what you need to do is you need to identify how many proposals have been granted, and as denominator, how many proposals have been submitted and they have passed the threshold. So if we get an attractive number there, then that's an indicator for us to go on, to go forward on one condition. And what is that condition? That we need to make sure that we will have the support, the advice, and the confirmation that our proposal has a lot of chances to get a mark above the threshold. If we don't have that support from an external, not from our own eyes, because you know, preparing a proposal is like giving birth to a baby. And when we give birth to a baby, we believe that our baby is the most beautiful baby in the whole world. However, you know that this is not the case. So that's why we need an external advice during the whole process, from the initiation of the proposal idea until the final draft, where they will be confirming to us that yes, this is a proposal, the approach that we have followed based on the idea, the proposal summary, based on the consortium, based on the final draft, is a proposal that will be above the threshold. So this is something that we need to take into consideration. Now the second indicator that we need to have under the how much, how many, is how many proposals we expect, more or less, minimum number of proposals to get funded. And how do we know that? We have the total budget, the total grants expected to be given, and we also have a more or less an indication of how much will be the average budget per project, roughly. In some programs like Erasmus Plus, we have at least the maximum, which is 150,000 euros per year. In some others, we have an average one. So we have that number we have that budget per project. We know more or less how much is the total budget of grants that are going to be allocated in one call. We make a simple divisions, and then we have, as a result, the minimum number of projects that are expected to get funded. And why I'm saying that? Because in some cases, specifically in Horizon 2020, or even in Erasmus Plus, in some centralized actions, we have 1 or 2 projects that are going to get funded if we do this calculation. No more than that. So our question and our next traffic light is, can we be the only one proposal that will get funded? Which means, if yes, how can we know that? Have we been preparing that the last 2 years, the last 1 year? Have we been the ones that have been lobbying that in order to be included in the work program? Have we been the ones that have been receiving advice all the time from the funding authority how we can push such a proposal, such an idea? So if we are not in that group of people, in that group of proposers, then we need to reconsider whether we're going to take into consideration this funding opportunity as proposal initiators, or alternatively, if we have the right capacity, the right resources and the proper knowledge, to see whether we can identify who is the leading, which is the consortium that has been preparing themselves for this call for some years, or for a year or for 2 years from now, and try to see whether we can offer them some added value that they haven't been offered so far in order to join their consortium. So you understand now, in order to close this very short training session here in beautiful Norway, that's a little bit windy, however, is before deciding whether that call that we have identified is a proper one, based on the 5 figures technique, after the who method, we have the how many, where there we're going to identify the success rate. We have 3 different success rates: the official success rate, the actual success rate, which considers only the proposals that have been above the threshold, the ones that should have been submitted, not the ones that should have never been submitted, and considers also as a third factor, as a third indicator, the number of projects that are expected to get funded. So I hope you enjoyed this short training. I hope to see you next time. Please keep up learning, enjoy life, enjoy traveling, and see you soon.
Hi there, this is Nikolaos Floratos, the founder of Funding Expert Academy. If you liked this video, then there are 3 things that you can do. First, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can give you more videos like that in the near future. Secondly, you can register for downloading for free my just released new ebook on Learn from the Champions in Horizon 2020, where it identifies who are the champions in EU funding and what are their habits for becoming so successful. And third, what you need to do is to comment on my blog about this video, what you like, what you didn't like, if you have any questions, and I will be trying to answer all of them personally. Thank you for your attention. Till next time, enjoy life and keep on learning.